All right, we are entering into Physical Wellness Dimension Month. This is really exciting. The last couple of months, we've done this gentle introduction into themed months that brought you opportunities to learn more about yourself, develop some goals, create some momentum. We explored all the different dimensions that we are going to divide up now by themed months. And we have also really honed in on the importance and all the key elements to the internal weather report and how simple check-ins daily are really instrumental in our overall well-being. So if you have pressed play, you are arriving at the first session for our Physical Wellness Month. We are going to explore the three key areas to this particular dimension and how it relates to feeling at our best, both in our minds and bodies. And this is really also, it's neat that we picked March for this month because it's aligning with Nutrition Month. And we also have some really great, winter activities, snow challenges going on to keep us moving and spend time outdoors. So these theme months, along with the workbooks that accompany them, always have these individual and team challenges that we can share. We're trying to create this wellness contagion. So hopefully, please feel free to share any of the resources possible, or just, consider it this new opportunity or mission to be able to encourage well-being, wellness, or movement and activity in others' lives as well. You'll be able to find the workbook in the files section on our Facebook page. I'm also going to attempt to put the Google link for the workbook into the comment section of this. So hopefully that works out when I'm done posting this. But for now, let's begin. So today's roadmap is laid out like this. We are going to start by taking inventory on our mood and energy levels using our internal weather report. So fun fact that I learned this week is that when you are trying to engage in anything where you need to be able to focus or want to be able to pay better attention, one of the key elements for one, a more positive check-in, or two, just increasing your ability to be fully engaged and present was, have you eaten yet? So depending on when you are watching this, if it is before a meal, I highly recommend maybe pressing pause, go grab that healthy snack, get that in you before we continue on with this. And then we're going to check out the physical wellness dimension as it relates to a particular quote. And I will lead you through the three key areas that I'm going to stretch out over this month. But this session in particular is for everybody and everybody. And my hope is that you can take away some celebration moments, knowing that movement and activity and not sitting too long, just how quite easy it is to increase the movement and those opportunities throughout your day. So to begin, let's start off with an internal weather report check-in. You're going to see this as one of the first pages in the workbook. This is giving us a chance to flex our mindfulness muscles and do this energy and mood check-in, stopping, taking inventory, and just really being able to identify how you are feeling in this moment. So how you're feeling is usually based on your emotions, and those emotions are what are affecting and encouraging how you accept information in this session or the world around you, and just really how you're showing up in your days. So by doing this, I would like to welcome you just to set things aside. If you have a pen in your hand, you're going to set that down. And I want you to just find the most comfortable position. We're limiting all distractions. And I want to encourage you to take 3 lengthened breaths. Now, as you're doing this, you are slowing down the in-breath and the out-breath, and you are already really signaling to your mind and body that everything is okay. As you do this, please take notice of any feelings or particular sensations or thoughts that are popping up. When you're ready, you can look at the screen in front of you and you will see the internal weather report. It is divided up into these 4 quadrants based on different or varying weather patterns. There's also some distinctive colors and emotions or feelings that are commonly associated with those weather patterns, those check-ins. So when you've gifted yourself a chance to recognize any emotions or feelings that you're experiencing, taking into account, does your body feel relaxed or tense? How is your breathing? What was your tone of voice like before this session? These are all clues that are going to help you recognize this mood and energy that you're holding on to in this moment. So if you are joining or watching this with a group of peers, please, feel free to share. Are you identifying as sunny? Maybe some thunderstorms. It was a chaotic, time before this. Are you experiencing maybe light showers, but a rainbow is peeking through? So just when or if you're comfortable, I want to invite you just to share that with the group that you're joining with, or, put pen to paper and just gently write down the date and where your check-in is right now. Once you've been able to recognize what you're feeling, let's explore it a little bit further. So the benefit of this is, over the course of the weeks and every time you check into these or do these weather reports, you're really gaining and strengthening that ability for self-awareness and discovery. So first question is very simple. It's a yes or no answer. You can nod your head, write it down in your workbook. You get to circle it. Please ask yourself that check-in that you just labeled, your emotions you just labeled with that weather report. Is this how you want to feel? So that is a simple yes or no. This is that opportunity to be able to identify how you're expressing this stage of the check-in. So this is, how are you showing this feeling to the world? What about your voice, the tone of your voice, or your body posture, or your actions or reactions earlier today honed in and led you to this mood and energy check-in? The next stage is we're going to explore it a little bit further. This is that emotional intelligence strategy and the understanding stage of our check-in. And it's really taking into account all the elements that contributed to why you're feeling this way. So I always like to say it's like you're holding that check-in in the palm of your hand, you're turning it over, spinning it around, you're looking at it from all angles. And this is, making a list of all the things that may have happened in your morning or your day so far to cause you or lead you to checking in with this weather pattern. This can be something about, were those things that happened, were they pleasant or unpleasant? Were they tank fillers, like those increasing your energy, or were they tank spillers and depleting your energy level? So being able to recognize that you're checking in this way, this is the mood or emotion you're feeling, but then exploring it further just gives you this greater sense of being able to observe it rather than feel overwhelmed by it right now. So you're understanding all these key areas. Lastly, in our check-in, the final question, this is getting to the good part and that call to action. And this is, what strategies can you use? You have this ability to make these choices, to incorporate these moments of joy. So what strategies can you bring in to the rest of your day, the next hour after this session, even pressing pause, and maybe you need to go and take 5 minutes and practice one of these strategies right now. But these wellness opportunities are what you can use to either sustain your check-in. So if you're checking in at the sunny skies or rainbow skies, what do you need to be able to maintain that throughout the rest of your day? Or are there things that you need to introduce that are going to help shift and encourage a more desirable weather pattern for you? So again, sharing is caring. It is also really important, once you set this intention and give it some airtime and share it with an accountability person, this is something that's going to help you create this way to make that wellness strategy a non-negotiable. You want to get this done before the end of your day, see if it shifts your mood, or even just offers you a few minutes of like reprieve from the really heavy or big feelings. Excellent. So once you've recorded that, you can use that same sheet over and over, just put in different dates, and you can even start to track and just have a greater understanding of those elements that maybe you need to incorporate into your daily routine to forecast those more desirable weather patterns. Let's start out with a quote. This is also in your workbook, so a chance to do some free writing. Just let it flow and see what comes to mind first. So the quote is, "A healthy outside starts from the inside." So just taking a moment to pause and reflect, what does this quote mean to you? Often you can press pause on this video and just keep rereading that quote over until something pops up, or use this as a prompt for a breathing exercise, which is really exploring for you personally, what does it mean when you read the words, a healthy outside starts from the inside? Again, you can pause and share with your group, or maybe consider all sorts of elements that contribute to this. As we get a little bit further in, watching what you put into your body or how much activity you get, even the quality of sleep, these are all super important for keeping your body and your mind working at its best. So positive physical health habits, they help to lower your stress levels, they lower your risk of disease, they increase your energy. They're a way to offer elements of social wellness and connection. But having these healthy habits and routines and this awareness helps us create this lifestyle where we can feel better and even actually live longer. There's studies that show this. So that's why we're going to spend an entire month exploring different elements related to these incredibly impactful elements of physical wellness in this dimension. So just to start, we're going to quickly explore the three key elements. So the first one, and what we're going to focus on later on in this session, is really this importance of activity and movement. So moving more and sitting less has a major impact on your health. And the best part is you can have this major impact even by introducing it a little bit at a time. So the Canadian Physical Activity Guideline that recommends 90 to 150 minutes of moderate to vigorous physical activity every week. But maybe that is not something that you have had an opportunity to really incorporate into your routine. So good to know, every minute counts when it comes to moving. And there are so many opportunities to explore, introduce, and be able to celebrate, even within the walls and outside outside of the work environment, while you're at home, and just being able to celebrate that, maybe you weren't aware how you were intentionally being able to increase these moments of movement and activity, or just even how you can do this amazing blending of certain activities that you already have to get done with ways to increase your movement. Next one is eating well to fuel your body. Again, I mentioned how this is aligning perfectly with Nutrition Month. And, out of the dozens and dozens of decisions we make every day, it is so important to have this greater sense of awareness in terms of the decisions we make and the control and power we have for what kind of foods we put into our body. So maybe you've already tried making some healthier food choices in the past or even right now. Maybe it's, right proportions of foods, or just anything that's really helping you maintain or encourage the levels of energy that you're desiring. So there can actually be certain foods that you can turn to when you're wanting to do that. This is going to be able to help hone in and discover that eating well is more than just the foods you eat. It's really establishing this healthy habit and this lifestyle, and even a mindset when it comes to your relationship or how you view food. So that one's going to be a really important week when we get to that one. The last one is sleep hygiene. So this is about setting up your routine and putting yourself in this best position possible to sleep well each and every night. So it is more than just the quantity of sleep, the hours of sleep you get, it's the quality that you're going to want to practice as well. So whether that week is going to encourage you to establish this bedtime routine, maybe you are going to skip ahead in your workbook and check out all the tips and tricks for a better quality of sleep, or there's even just this possibility to start tracking to increase your awareness on how your sleep is directly impacting your ability to show up in your world, at work, at home. That week we are going to leave no pillow unturned. It will be a really excellent week. So getting into just one mini disclaimer for physical wellness. This month, as well as any of the dimensions that we're going to explore, is going to require some patience and the ability to focus on that element of progress and not perfection. So to start, you can take 2 minutes to complete this physical wellness circle check. Again, I will attempt to put the the link for the Google Drive for that in the comments section. I really want to be able to start introducing sort of like an intake at the beginning of each dimension, but then also going full circle at the end of the month so that, we can dip into that souvenir suitcase that we've become familiar with and just see how those elements that we've learned and tips and tricks have really helped encourage a different way to show up, or a way that aligns with your goals, or just things that are working that you can also share with others. So again, this month is going to require some patience and the ability to focus on that progress, not perfection. I love this. Everybody move now. So we're celebrating being able to move our bodies all month long, but let's talk about why. So I'm going to start to introduce, working from home the last couple of years. If you are working remotely, it may not be a brand new concept, but thanks to the last couple of years, many of us are really rocking this working from home lifestyle. Or maybe it has switched up and you're doing a bit at home and a bit in the workplace. But no doubt it has impacted your ways to be able to access, physical wellness centers or community resources, any of that kind of stuff. So not commuting. Maybe your office is now in your dining room, much like mine, or not passing your gym on your way home from work. Those can all be factors that have cut into your typical movement, whatever that means now or whatever that looked like before. So this is, we are no longer, walking to our car or maybe parking further away. This is, even just like maybe you've switched to that click and collect for groceries and you're no longer even walking through the grocery store, approaching the cart, or just having these opportunities to make that choice. Do I take the stairs? Do I take the elevator? So the truth is, any sort of movement compounds. It has a stacking effect and also has huge effects on our mobility and our mental health. So this is why movement in any way, shape, or form is really important. So quick question, how do you feel when you're not moving enough? What kind of moods or feelings or emotions, or just how are you expressing that, or physiologically? How does your body show you that you're not moving enough? So let you have those conversations. Some more common ones that came up in the presentation I did the other day was your body feels sluggish, you're not focused, maybe more irritable, you are holding on to different levels of pain or tension when you're not moving your body. But important to know, so our brains, everything works together, and movement affects our moods and our brain development, or just our brain health in general. So some of the things I wanted to hone in on when you're not getting enough movement, our brains have this higher risk of anxiety and depression. That's one of them. So many people experiencing this heightened sense of anxiety, or maybe it's dread, and you find yourself, for whatever reason, you're focusing more on the negative. That's the next one. But when we exercise, the body releases this feel-good chemical, and it, goes directly to our brain. And this compounds not only being able to block out pain receptors, but it increases our feelings of joy. So when we have a deficiency or we're lacking in these important hormones, we tend to feel more anxious and depressed. So, move your mood is really important. We'll get into how you can do that really quickly. The next one is our brains have trouble seeing the bright side. So I talked about, you're more focused on the negative. So even if you can usually find that silver lining in all situations, but maybe on days that you aren't getting your movement in, or if there's been it's been a week and you haven't really done much movement, you might start to notice that you're focusing on more the negative or worst case scenario aspects. And this could be directly linked, or we can throw the blame or throw lack of activity under the bus. So exercise, it helps to take the edge off. It gives us an outlet for us to release these negative emotions. I know for myself personally, if I don't get my movement in the morning, I know that my patience level is a lot lower with my family, my kids, or I'm not able to focus on what I need to get done that day. So when you're sitting on the sofa all afternoon, or you're sitting at your desk and not making any intentional movements, you tend to have these negative emotions start to fill that void, and creates that sort of, they call it that Debbie Downer sort of element of thinking. Next one is our brains struggle to solve problems. So fun fact, think about the last time you ran into a roadblock. Maybe it was at work or something where you had to make a decision. So anything that you had to navigate. Did you get stuck trying to brainstorm solutions? Or were you able to creatively think about a way to guide yourself through those situations? So if you found yourself more on this like struggle bus than the success bus, it could be because of lack of exercise or lack of movement. So without even like a low impact fitness, even like hiking, that kind of stuff, our brain can feel that sluggish, that tired. We talked about that when I asked you how you feel when you're not moving enough. And it makes it really difficult to start to muster up this motivation or maybe even deliver on our responsibilities or deadlines. So the next time, if you feel that your day is dragging, want to invite you to consider doing some quick movements. Maybe it's just like pressing play on your favorite song and dancing around, or doing the jumping jacks, even something as simple as like rubbing your hands together, rubbing your arms, creating this energy within you that brings that on. Last one is, our brains can't manage stress well when we have lack of activity. In every stressful situation, we either have this fight or flight reaction. If we're flyers, you make a run for it, you flee, or you fear facing whatever troubles are brewing ahead. In fighters, so that's the flyers. In fighters, you tend to stick with it. So this is becoming, maybe if you have this lack of activity and all these feelings are sort of consuming you, you might find yourself a little bit more combative or defensive in these situations. So when you don't have a regular schedule or routine for physical fitness or movement, your brain is releasing the stress hormone, and it might make it a little bit more trickier to manage your emotions effectively. So those are 4 very important reasons why you need to have some movement. So another quick question, and you can put some ideas down on paper, share them out loud, but how do you ensure that you get movement into each day? Do you have a particular routine? Are there non-negotiables? Are there certain tips and tricks that maybe you learned one day and you're like, oh, I could do that, and you tried them and they really worked for you? So whether you're writing this down or sharing them in a group, it's really important to keep doing that. So we're halfway through. I would love to invite you to just to press pause. Before you do that though, I want you to pick a song and either play it, or I want you to pick some stretching, and I just want you to press pause, or you can keep this break time graphic up there and get up, get 300 steps in, go drink a glass of water, anything that's going to increase your movement, do some stretching, try and touch your toes. Anything that's going to get you up, get you moving. And then when you're done that quick break, I want you to come on back and we will keep moving forward. All right, if I brought you to this slide, you press play again, click it off pause. Hopefully that quick break was good. You see how quickly that can happen. So when you're even in your workday, if you want to set an alarm for every 30 minutes, 60 minutes, you can do those quick things. Okay, so the next one, that's NEAT. So has anybody else ever heard of this non-exercise activity thermogenesis, otherwise known as NEAT? So no worries if you hadn't, because I hadn't before I created this presentation, but it's something that we do, and hopefully every day. So these NEAT movements are small movements throughout your day. This can be something like commuting. So whether you like bike to work, walk to your car, it can be housework, it can be taking the stairs, it can be pushing your own grocery cart. We had an example of like shoveling. All of those activities, they contribute to your NEAT, which is the energy that you're burning outside of exercise. So I love this guy who's vacuuming. I have to admit, I don't think I've ever been that energetic when I was doing housework, but I may be guilty of like dancing around to some 90s ballad with a mop or something like that. But these NEAT activities are small, they're unstructured movements. They're important because they increase your mobility and they sort of cancel out those negative effects of possibly those increasingly sedentary lifestyles. So I'm sharing this with you so you can make your move. This is in your workbook. It's setting a commitment. Try not to sit more than 30 minutes for the rest of your day. So today, you might need to set an alarm in your phone to go off every 30 minutes. You may need to intentionally, if you have things to do after this, park further away from that building. Swap out your water bottle for a smaller glass. You have to keep getting up and going and refilling it. This can be something as go through your playlist or song lists and start to make a playlist of energy songs, energy inducing songs. Take it one step further, name it something that's also this energy or this power word. Just even being able to read that word is something that's going to stimulate something within you and start build on that energy level. So this one I love. I feel like it's because, fun is subjective and fulfilling, and just when it's incorporated into all aspects of our life, it really just makes everything better. So I'm extremely fortunate because fun is one of the pillars of recreation therapy. It's absolutely in my wheelhouse, but also with this specific example, it demonstrates how it encourages a change in behavior, a change in choice. So as you watch this video, you're going to be able to see, when people are at the bottom of the stairs, they have that opportunity to make that decision. Do they go on to the left, the more fun opportunity, or do they take the right-hand side, the escalator, where it's, minimal movement, minimal lack of energy, that kind of stuff. So this element of fun, element of joy is essential to helping start that motivation. It helps spark creativity. It helps spark even connection. It can be a part of each and every day. I would love to be able to install these piano staircases. It reminds me of the movie Big, and I know I'm aging myself when I share that, but this can make things also within your day and your work day feel like more like a calling instead of an obligation. So if you are ever looking for ways to increase elements of fun, elements of movement into your days, please by all means reach out after any of these sessions. I love to do that. So we're just going to take a few minutes and watch this video. And hopefully, if you want, you can share this as well. Maybe even write down some feelings or things that it inspires in your workbook as you watch this. I love that video, and even just see how it was even like this emotional wellness mood changer when people were coming off of that with smiles on their faces and everything else. I love that video. And 66% more people chose the stairs than they would the escalator, and I think that's also really cool. So let's share some quick movements that we can do each day to keep our bodies moving. And I'm also curious to see if anybody else is singing that song in their head as they see that GIF on the screen. So before we get to the end and where we're going to start to wrap up this stuff, can you keep this list going of fun or quick things that you can do each and every day to keep your body moving? So I encourage you to try and think both. These are activities that you can incorporate into your workday, but also at home. And so again, if you are meeting with a group, maybe consider creating a list, and that can be something that, a boredom buster or something that you can keep somewhere out where every staff can go up and see, and it's just going to cue them to try one of those activities during their shift. So I'm going to share just a few. There's only 3. And as I do this, in your workbook, keep writing some down that you keep coming up with. So the first one, some ideas could be wake up and stretch. So this is one of those things where how many of us are often very guilty that as soon as our alarms go off, maybe you even hit snooze a half a dozen times, but before your feet hit the floor, you're already thinking about like the hundreds of things that you have to get done today. So instead, I encourage you to wake up and stretch. So as soon as you wake up, try some like low bend movements, arm circles, aiming for the sky, reaching for your toes, just some stuff that can like gently start to warm up your body or get you into that motion for the day. The second one, I know I had mentioned before, at least your intention for the rest of this day when you watch it to not sit for longer than 30 minutes. But I want to also welcome the opportunity, maybe move at the top of every hour. So setting timers at the start of each hour, you're going to have this list of all these quick and easy ways to incorporate movement. So maybe at the start of every hour, you're picking something new from the list. So you tried something different each time. And the last one is set a water goal. So 1, the more you drink, maybe the more you'll have to go to the bathroom, get your steps in, but also sticking to your water goal is really important. I mentioned grabbing that smaller glass, you're going to fill it up more often, but water is such a huge part on our overall wellness and physical wellness and staying hydrated. It contributes to our energy levels, our ability to focus. So if there is even one other thing that you incorporate in your days that is really nurturing this physical wellness dimension, it's getting your water in. So now that you have your list, I also want you to commit to one of those activities that you can do before you go to bed tonight. So of your list, take it, circle it, highlight it, whatever you need to do, write it on a Post-it note, put it somewhere you're going to see until you get that activity done. And also you can, name one person or reach out to one person that you've been encouraged as this takeaway practice that from a session you participated in, and you have to share this activity with one person so that you establish this level of commitment, because once you've done that, that increases your level of accountability and chances for success in completing it. So share that with one person, either when we sign up from the session or sitting next to you, or text them and make sure that they hold you accountable to that. So the bottom line, our friends from that wonderful show, you got this, but just much like you prioritize your family time, your job, your sleep, it is so important to make physical activity this non-negotiable priority every day for your optimal brain health, physical body health. And again, you created this list. So maybe yoga made it to your list, maybe a brisk walk or a bike ride, or, accomplishing some pretty serious housework when you get home, now that you know that that counts. Things that are going to add up to as close to even 30 minutes a day just really helps improve your thinking skills, how you process information, your brain cell growth, resilience, stress resiliency and management, helps your memory, your performance, your mood. The list goes on and on and on and on. So there is so much bang for your buck when it comes to a half an hour of your time. There's also a YouTube video that I encourage you to look up, and it's called 23 and a half hours. And it's really encouraging 30 minutes of movement per day, and asks you at the end, are you okay to just sit for the other 23 and a half hours? And when you look at it from that perspective, you're like, holy smokes, I can totally do more than 30 minutes of movement, especially now when you know how easy it is to get that done. So coming full circle, do a quick one more internal weather report check. Where are you checking in when you leave this session? Any of those wellness strategies that once this recording stops, can you go out and do that? Start to encourage and forecast a more desirable weather pattern, or help you sustain that one you checked in at. Anything you're going to take away from today is going to get tucked neatly into your souvenir suitcase. Go back over your notes, maybe highlight, underline any words that are standing out, those really important ones that are popping out at you. And then lastly, just another opportunity to extend the Highway to Well journey. There's platforms that you can follow us on. Again, I mentioned the files section in Facebook is where I tend to load the workbooks, but there are multiple platforms that you can share with family members and friends just to keep in and increase your opportunity to engage in Highway to Well and your overall well-being throughout the week beyond these sessions. So thank you everybody for joining. Keep an eye on your workbook. We're going to continue this journey with fueling your body and again, the sleep hygiene later on this month. But I just wish you a great weekend and I will see you next week. Thanks everyone.